Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Entrepreneur's Inner Game podcast. I'm very excited to introduce a very special guest to you today. His name is Corbett, and he's a solution-focused and agile entrepreneur, coach, and thought leader with more than 23 years of success across food and beverage, hospitality, education, and e-commerce. His broad areas of expertise include leadership, team building, coaching, and mentoring, sales, marketing, branding, partnerships, customer experience, startups, and growth. Wow, I don't think I've ever interviewed anyone with so many different skill sets, and it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Well, thank you, Nina. You know, as you're reading that, I'm like, I do that. I do that.
And you probably do more. You probably do more besides that. I just didn't get everything in. It's such a great pleasure to have you here. And we were chatting a little bit before we came on the interview, and we both love mindset. And you said a really lovely thing. You said the foundation of entrepreneurship is mindset. And I completely and wholeheartedly agree.
Yes.
Now, given your depth of experience and knowledge in entrepreneurship, there aren't that many people who've been doing this for 23 years. So what are your main learnings? Let's just dive straight in. What are your main learnings about entrepreneurship and how mindset plays such a pivotal role?
Yeah, I love the question. Thank you, Nina, for allowing me to come into this great podcast today of yours. Thank you so much. So a couple of things that come into mindset is that for entrepreneurs, when they're on the journey and particularly at the beginning of the journey, is that it is a journey first and foremost. And people need to understand the glamour that's on television, whether it's Dragon's Den or whatever, is nice, but there's no instant success in the journey of entrepreneurship. I like to remind people two main things. One is that it's a laboratory. You're in a laboratory, and with the laboratory, you have a theory that your business has got value and that people will pay you for that value. But here's the thing, like any laboratory, things blow up. Bunsen burners cause things to flame out. There are times when your hair, you want to pull it out. But yet there are also some great times when you go, Eureka, it really worked out well for me. So you are in a laboratory, you need to understand that. And the second thing is, I love this fable, I know you've heard of it, is you have to remember that the tortoise won the race. The rabbit did not win the race. And because of consistency, because of moving forward, slow, but steady, focused in on moving the business forward. And it's not about fast sprints and then hold back. No, it's consistency. The tortoise won the race. So if you remember that with the mindset of the laboratory, when you're on your journey and things are a little tougher, you'll be able to say, okay, the rabbit didn't win the race. The hare won the race. And then the third thing is that the mindset piece that I bring into play is that the way you win in life, and not just in business, the way you win in life, and whenever I've followed this philosophy, I've always won. So sometimes I wonder why I haven't always followed this philosophy, but you zag when everybody else zigs. You have to have that unique selling proposition, or else you will only compete on price. And you know as well as I know, when you're competing on price, the person with the deepest pockets is going to win the game. So those are some fundamental mindset pieces that are just nuggets that I think are important for your guests.
Wonderful. I love it. And we want to explore more around that. But tell me, why do you think that some entrepreneurs get stuck? They get stuck in maybe not working on the important parts of their business, or they just lose that momentum, or they lose their passion. They start having more self-doubt creeping into their mind. Why do you think that happens for some of us?
Because they hang out with ducks versus eagles. It's pure and simple. You have to make sure you are surrounding yourself with the people that, one, are ahead of you in the game, so they're able to help bring you up the ladder, bring you up the elevator. So that's the first thing is that you're hanging out with the wrong people. And family and friends have great hearts, but they typically don't know the journey of business. What they know is the things that they've seen about colossal failures and people getting hurt and debt and all those things. And those are the messages they bring, but they don't know the journey of business. So you're hanging out with the wrong people. The second thing is you try to do too much. And we were talking a little earlier about focus. And that's key, is that align yourself. I'm all about diversified streams of income, but I'm all about a lane for those diversified pieces of income. So hospitality industry, whatever. I don't let a bunch of noise that's not relevant to my journey get into my life. And that's difficult for a lot of entrepreneurs, because there's always get rich quick here, follow me, do this, buy this, Facebook this, do so on. You've got to keep focused on the goal, the journey that you're on, the lane that you're in, and remember the tortoise won the race in that lane. So that's why I think it's. And by the way, I'm guilty of it weekly because of the noise that comes at me. So I get it. And I've been at this for 23 years. So you've got to practice to keep that noise out.
What's a good way of doing that? How can you keep focused on your goal and not get distracted by the tens of emails that pop in every day with an amazing offer which looks too good to be true?
Yeah, it's the way you schedule your day, I think, is the best way to approach it. And in my day, I have it very structured on the business. I play in two business lanes. One is helping entrepreneurs succeed, and the second one is to building my own business, which is a chef talent agency. And so everything every day has to focus on those two lanes. In the morning, I'm all about doing biz development. I'm all about reaching out, connecting with people, developing relationships in those two lanes. In the afternoon, it's about doing meetings that have been scheduled with me because of that reach out. And so those are two ways in which I do business. The other part is that early in the morning, I connect with my God, and I do my exercise. And those three things are consistent to me every single day during the week. And that's it. And it's putting those structures in place that keep you focused. If you just let your day come to you, it will come to you, and it will be noisy, and it will be messy, and it will be muddy. You got to have that structure. That's the best way to do that. And here's what's key as part of that deal too. Allow yourself for maybe an hour a day just to have fun. It's okay to listen to the noise for just an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, whatever. But that'll just and I think that'll just train you you'll start to hang out with the fun that's relevant to you. But you can't eliminate the noise. It's how you ultimately let it into your life that's important. So that's how I do it. And Sundays are days off. I just don't touch them. I'm a big American football fan, so I love that season. So that becomes a day for me. So that's pretty well how I structure my day.
Brilliant. So let's explore the mindset of outreach.
Okay.
And is it another way of saying it's putting yourself out there, and it's marketing yourself in your service, yes, isn't it? And I know that this can be a challenging area for some entrepreneurs because they don't want to put themselves out there. They feel scared of approaching people or telling people about what they do in case there's rejection or there's silence, disapproval, criticism, all of those things. So how do you get past that feeling of, I don't want to be rejected?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, you have to understand that business is a team sport, first of all. So what I mean by that is that if you're not good at sales, don't do sales. If you're not good at accounting, don't be an accountant. If you're not good at marketing, if you're just not good at it and you don't enjoy it, then don't be in that game. It doesn't make sense for you to do that. You want to be in the game where you're good at and you enjoy doing. That's the first thing. That makes it enjoyable to do what it is that you do. The second thing is that you can either be the brand or your company can be the brand. And by deciding as to what you want to do with that, that's fine. My coaching business, I'm the brand. My chef business, my hospitality business, the company's the brand. And those two ultimately will ultimately determine what the view is to the audience out there. The third thing is you got to do it. That's the third. You can't shy away from it. Marketing equals sales. And if you don't have a process in place to do that and to practice that and to put it in place, you will not be successful in business. So accept that it's a part of the game of business and put pieces in place to make it happen. That's kind of how I would approach it.
And what about the fears of marketing?
Yeah, the fears of, I know this is going to be a standard answer, but you just got to get over it and practice. Look, there's lots of things that I had fearful when I started. 23 years later, it's nothing. It's nothing. This stuff happens. And it's just practice the game, understand it's a game. In the beginning, it's tough. It's tough to not only learn the rules, but to practice the rules. And so, in my opinion, you just got to practice it, but practice it with people that know the game. Then it becomes easy. If you're trying to figure this thing out yourself, that's why coaches are so important, then that's just not smart. Lots of examples of athletes, as example, even CEOs, we bring doctors, psychiatrists, coaches into our lives. Why wouldn't we have somebody like you and I to help guide people along that journey? It makes no sense to me, but people think when they start business, I don't need any help. What? It makes no sense. You don't need help. That's when you need help. Definitely. So you got to just do it, but surround yourself with people that can help you do it.
And how do you deal with when someone says no, thank you, or there's some silence when you put something out there? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's a great question. One, first of all, again, practice. You learn that it's not against you personally. The customer has just decided they're not ready for whatever reason. I'm not big into the game of convincing somebody to do business with me. What I'm big into the game is bringing value to that customer, obvious value, not just perceived value, doing my homework ahead of time, making sure when I have that conversation with someone that I understand them. See, business isn't about us. It's about the customer. Business is a dating game. You have to understand that what you want to do is you want that person who you want to date to really like you. And the best way to really like you is for you to really understand them and to listen to them and connect with them. So the point is that if I've got somebody to the point that they're just not at the point they're ready to date me, I do two things. One is I say, no problem, we're just not ready to date. This is in my head. Maybe we're ready to date later on, and I stay in touch. If the alignment with what I'm doing connects with what they need or have been asking for. There's a stat, there's only like 7%, maybe less, of customers that are ready to buy now. It's 93 already later. So that's, again, practice, you just get to know that. But if you're having a conversation with somebody that doesn't need what it is that you offer, get out of the conversation. There's no convincing in this game. It should be an easy dance that goes from a fast dance to a waltz. That's how fast you should be going at it, because there's an alignment, but it's about them. And so that's how I approach that. I don't want to do business with you. No problem. I don't want to do business with you either.
Yeah.
The other thing.
And the great thing is we don't need hundreds and thousands of clients. We just need a few really good clients, and there are plenty of them out there. So
think about it for a second. If you could get 10 clients to pay you $1,000 a month, that's $120,000 a year. And it's just a service provider. Yeah, you got to pay expenses and so on, but that's a good freaking salary for somebody. 10 people. There's got to be value out there, people out there. So you talk about 100%.
Yeah, and it's having conversations. We have to have conversations. There can be a lot of business done through people clicking a link, but at some point when you go into the bigger investment pieces, there has to be a conversation.
Right. And when you're at that point, you've already done a lot of your homework. You're already aligned. the person who you're selling to, marketing, already knows why you're there at that point in time when you're having that conversation, because they picked up on those trigger points that are important to them and they want to have that conversation. So at that point, yes, that's when you want to have that conversation.
Brilliant. So in terms of, your experience, your wealth of experience, entrepreneurship, what would you say is the one thing that sets apart more successful entrepreneurs from the ones who don't succeed as well? What's the one area of focus that really makes a difference to someone's business?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the reasons why it's so great is because I've never been asked it. And all the times that I've been skirted around it. And I think it gets back, because I don't have an hour to think about the answer, I only have about 2 seconds. I'm going to get back to what you just talked about, relationships. That's what it really comes down to. The entrepreneur that understands that a value to a customer should be about a lifetime value to a customer, not a one sale, will ultimately have, to me, a more enjoyable business because they're not getting new customers all the time. 2, they're solving problems with their customers with them. So you become not a supplier, you become a strategic partner in their business. And 3, you create what we call recurring revenue. And recurring revenue is one of the most wonderful things on the planet because it's money you can plan for because you've got that ongoing relationship of solving problems and challenges for that particular customer. So relationships, nurture those relationships with people that are bringing you value and you're bringing them value. It's the dating game. You and I both have partners in our lives. We nurture those relationships with our life partners. Why? And for the right reasons, because we want to live long, nurturing lives. Why wouldn't we do the same thing for our customers? And I think that's where it comes down to. That takes time. It takes time and it takes effort. But the ones that do it win the game hands down. And here's the other thing: the stronger the relationship with the customer, the harder it is for the customer to go to somebody else, to cheat on you and go to somebody else who might be able to do it cheaper, faster, or another form. So that I think is the answer, and it's the right answer for long-term value off of building a business.
I completely agree. It's everything. So what is the secret to building these nurturing relationships?
Yeah, it's first of all understanding, it's doing your research. It's understanding what is important. Business is all about solving pain or giving pleasure. That's really what the two things come down to. And so if you're able to fundamentally understand what those key those key elements of pain are and success are for that individual and provide that, then you'll continue to be able to nurture it. If you start to take the client for granted that they'll always come back to you because you've got a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year relationship with them, start taking them for granted, that's when you start to lose the game. So the secret is pay attention, have conversations, just general conversations. How's life? And here's the other piece: get to know other things besides business in the relationship. How are your kids? What's the name of your dog? Where'd you go for vacation? Because people want to know you care about them beyond just simply the business. They want to know that you care about them as individuals. And that to me is the key. But it's effort, and it's keeping records. It's getting up in the morning and saying, okay, I'm meeting with Nina today. I've got some information on you. I'm going to research that before I chat with her, just to make sure we're going to have a conversation that's about her. Now, she may want to talk about me too, and that's fine, but I'm getting back to her. This is not going to be about me because I'm in the marketing mode. She's in the customer mode.
And it's the same with anything, isn't it? It can feel maybe a bit uncomfortable at the beginning. You may think, oh, I don't really enjoy this. It's not what I'm good at. But the more you do it, the better you get at it and the more enjoyable it becomes. And
Totally.
life is all about relationships, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
outside of business, in business. But I think sometimes when we think about online business, it just feels like it's click, click, click. And you can run a business without speaking to anyone. But there are some businesses you can do that, maybe some affiliate businesses, but most of the time, there are some conversations which can really accelerate success.
100%. Yeah. And, you know, I was reading something the other day. If you created one strong relationship a month for the next 12 months, that's 12 strong relationships. Just again, imagine they each pay you $1,000 a month. Well, that $1,000 a month is going to equate into $2,000 a month soon. It's going to equate into $3,000 a month. Well, you're still doing one new relationship a month into the 13th month before one a month, one a month. But it takes time. Remember, you're in the laboratory. Remember that the tortoise won the race, and people want this instant gratification. And the ones that nurture the relationships are the ones that win the game.
Yes, we do want instant gratification in life because social media keeps telling us it's possible and people could be overnight successes.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth about most people. And we don't know how long it's taken them to get there and how 100%. Many hours of practice they've put into their trade and their craft. Even, you know, the TikTokers who are really young, they've spent hours and hours and hours practicing before they get in front of the camera.
You know, it's a funny story you say that. My son is a social media influencer, was for 7 years, had close to 1 million followers at one point in time, and made some good cash along the way. But and his sisters used to say, well, you know, you look at what you get for the time put in, because all they saw was he posted a video and away it went. But they didn't look at the hours and hours and hours he nurtured that network, making nothing to get to that point where he ultimately had that success. I love that point.
Yeah, and it is, you know, where you feel, well, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm putting in this time and effort, but I'm not seeing any evidence of my results. But it's like, you know, the guy who's digging for gold, and he gives up, and then he's that far from it, just on the other side of that wall, and the wall's only that thick, and then someone else comes along and digs through the wall and finds the gold. It is persistence, it's perseverance. It can feel boring, you can feel I'm doing the same thing, and then suddenly there's a breakthrough and you think, that's what it was all about. As he said, going back into the lab and playing the smaller game. 100%. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
Nina.
I could talk for ages. So how can our listeners and our viewers find out more about you and the wonderful work you're doing?
Well, thanks, Nina, for the opportunity. And by the way, folks, what's cool about our conversation is that Nina and I have already set up another conversation to start to learn more. And so that's how it happens. It's just, so there's a connection, there's an alignment, and we want to explore that with the two minds that are saying, yeah, there's something here. So the way you hang out with me, it's very simple. It's just askrivers.com. That's where you find more information about my work with entrepreneurs. And my LinkedIn profile, you can just go to riverscorbett.ca for Canada, riverscorbett.ca, and you can find out about all of my journeys. And it's just, I love LinkedIn. It's a great professional resource. And so those are those two ways you get in touch with me. And
Fantastic.
Reach out.
Oh yes, reach out, because I know that you love talking to people, and definitely, you know, you'll get back to anyone who reaches out to you.
100%.
Fantastic. Thank you. And thank you everyone who's been watching and listening. We've really enjoyed your company. Until next time, bye-bye for now.